What's going on, everybody? We have the patch notes for 13.10. This is going to be the World Championship patch, so it's pretty important to figure out what's going on and how it also affects your games on the ladder. So there's a new arena, the Mecha Prime Zero arena, and there is a big change to the loot system. Let's get into the patch highlights first. We have Ace Anima buffs, Draven Jax, both the Double Troubles, and then the Jubilant Veil Augment. After that, they are nerfing Gadgettine and Pantheon. I believe both Infiniteam and Gadgettine were pretty high up on our tier list, so it does make a bit of sense. And then let's move on into the big loot changes before we go into the large changes. So treasure realms are a large scale upgrade and replacement for our current egg system. Prices per items aren't changing, but some drop rates and item categories are being adjusted to accommodate for some major quality of life updates we're making to the system. We could read more about it here, but they will roll out slower in the initial patch, so expect them to be live within 24 hours after 13.10 goes live. So 13.10 comes out on May 17th, so this one probably comes out on May 18th, around there. And let's just look at the TLDRs, I guess, or the facts. Tokens are generic, meaning that they can be used on any treasure realm bounty. This means that after you hit your desired item, you could save tokens for the next treasure realm rotation. Oh, I see. So before, when we bought a lot of eggs, you could only open up specific things for those eggs. But now with these treasure tokens, you could use them for the next thing that comes out. So you could buy like a bunch in the beginning, save them up for later on. Overall, that's pretty good. Very good, I should say. And they can be purchased in quantities up to 100 for 390 RP or TFT coins. Every treasure realm bounty costs 100 tokens for a single reward or 1,000 for 10 rewards. With that in mind, the Mecha Prime Zero bounty is only available from patch 13.10 to 12. And we can check out what it has below. So you could get a 1% drop rate for the Mecha Prime Zero arena. There's some booms, and then there's like a Sugar Crash Dango, Honey Buzz Chonk, and many more for like the standard content. And this is what the map looks like. Pretty modern. Looks like it's like two Transformers playing chess against each other. That's what it kind of looks like to me. But yeah, the 1% drop rate is static, but you can get it guaranteed after 61 attempts, and this guarantee carries over between bounties. Very interesting. I wonder how they kind of do that. But they're also going to be replacing eggs because they're no longer going to be there, but instead we'll receive the treasure tokens in the free-to-play battle pass and in the regular battle pass. So that's going to be pretty cool. And like, you don't need to like open up your eggs right now. You could open them later if you want still. Doesn't really matter on that. But now let's get on into the Monsters Attack Championship. This is going to be the Set 8 World Championship happening on May 26th to 28th. So definitely tune in on that. Watch your favorite players depending on what region you're in. It should be quite interesting to see what people come up with. So now with normals with portals, they're making a few adjustments there. I haven't actually done too much of this. So let's just move on into the large changes because that's what I like to focus on a little more, like how to climb and how to get better for now and in future sets too. So with 2, 4, and 5 costs, 4 Ace was tough to hit, even when you get offered our newest augment, Ace in the Hole, granting you access to Ace incredibly early. The trait still underperforms, and we're giving the execute threshold an extra nudge to push the trait into Ace rating territory. So Ace threshold is being up from 1530 to 1533. Anima Squad, AD, and AP being buffed at 3 Anima. I really want to experiment with some 3 Anima Squad builds. There is like a very expensive 3 Anima build with like Misfortune, Jinx, Riven, and then like all the 4-cost tanks and some legendaries. It's a pretty expensive comp, but it definitely is a good late game. But when they initially listed as Anima Squad being buffed, I thought it would be a little bit more. Another thing this does help with is getting early stacks. So that could be enough to kind of put the regular Anima Squad comp back into the meta. So after that, we have Gadgettine damage and damage reduction. This is going to be a nerf at 5 Gadgettine. Yeah, 5 Gadgettine is such a big power spike. I wish they maybe had a way to up 3 Gadgettine. I don't know how you would do it though, because if you make it 5%, it's probably going to be too much. But yeah, 5 Gadgettine is a little too strong. So I think nerfing that is fine. But maybe like giving more power to the individual champions. Like maybe you make like Annie stronger or like Nar stronger or Lulu stronger. Maybe even like Poppy stronger. I'm not really too sure. But something like that could be more interesting because I feel like 3 Gadgettine feels kind of bad if you're going for the Gadgettine comp. In other comps where you're just running it as like a secondary trait or a tertiary trait, perfectly good. Like I'm never complaining about the 3 Gadgettine. But if your main comp is going to be Gadgettine, being stuck at 3 versus 5 is a very, very big difference. Units tier 1 Pantheon timeout MR ratio is being reduced a tiny bit at all levels. Draven, he's getting a max mana buff. So Draven reroll was kind of out of the spotlight for a bit, and he should be maybe back into it. He was like slightly below average. I wouldn't say he was bad in the recent patches. He wasn't horrible, I should say, but he was just slightly below average, and hopefully this should put him into like the average territory where if you get a good game for him, you could still go for it, and he's not non-existent. Units tier 3, Jax Adaptive Strike base damage is being buffed up a little bit. Jax has been buffed so many times in a row. It's actually kind of nuts. Is it time for actually a Jax patch? I've been really hoping for this a ton of times in the past. Maybe now is finally the time. Onto augments, Double Trouble 2 is being changed from 30 to 33 AD, AP, Armor, and MR. And then Double Trouble 3 is being buffed from 40 to 44 for the same exact stats. Double Trouble was kind of weird to play. I'm not really sure why, because I felt like Double Trouble was good in like last set, and threat units existed in the last set. But now, yeah, I'm not really too sure why. Maybe it's because people don't want to experiment that much with it. I feel like in a Kaisa build, maybe like Kaisa Rel being like the 2 Double Trouble units, and then you add in 1 extra one. There should be something with that, but I haven't even seen those builds come out. Maybe because the carry units need too many complementary traits, and that's why Double Trouble isn't as good. That could be another reason. And then Nyla's Drubal and Veil CC immunity is being changed from 5 allies to 6 allies. That's pretty cool. I always thought that this augment was good already, but it really depends on what comps are kind of working. If duelists are good, then this thing is really good because it gives you a lot of power in the early parts of the fight, which is exactly what duelist wants. But in other Star Guardian comps, like, it's not that great, you know. It really depends on the exact situations. I don't know if it needed a buff, but it definitely was underplayed. But I don't know how you would buff it. Maybe you would change the immunity duration, because 5 to 6, that's like a pretty big change, right? Onto the bug fixes, there are 2 A's and Aatrox fixed an issue where Aatrox's second spell wasn't buffed like the first one in the last patch. Leduc and Run fixed an issue where Ezreal would cast his spell twice if he killed a target within melee range. Really? Well, I didn't know he did that. Ghost Stunner fixed an issue where Pyke could stun units who are immune to CC. Maybe that's why Pyke was OP. You gotta be critting me. Fixed an issue where reaching 100% crit on select units was reverting crit to near 0. Yeah, this was the issue I talked about with Samira before, and they are going to be fixing that, so that is all fine and dandy. So pretty small patch, because again, it's going to be the World Championship patch. You don't want to change things up too much because people have been like practicing on this patch a lot, so you don't want it to be like an RNG fest on like who just has the patch click the fastest. Sometimes it's random. I know it's still skillful to like figure out what's working, what's not faster than other players, but sometimes it is kind of random, because if someone just happens to be really good at like the new meta comps, they have like a pretty big advantage. So it is kind of random in that way, even with the whole learning type of stuff going on. But overall, like very, very small patch. I hope Anima Squad is going to be like at least high A tier. It's in like the low A tier right now, I believe. So bumping it up to high A tier should be good. I am a little worried that maybe like the Jhin comp might be like the best one to go to, but Jhin hasn't really had the spotlight for that long, so maybe that's going to be perfectly fine. Actually, he's like a pretty cool unit too. I wouldn't mind seeing Jhin a lot, because the comp, like, I'll be honest, I haven't even learned how to play the comp because it was pretty bad until recently. But at this point in the set, I kind of don't feel like learning new comps anymore. But maybe we see Jax. Draven for sure should be at least like playable. Before he was like semi playable in the right conditions. Now he should be playable in the right conditions, which is where you want it to be at. And yeah, I don't have too many comments on this patch. It was pretty small. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What comps do you think will stack up? But as usual, I'm going to do my BunnyMuffins tip of the day right now at the end of the video. And I'm going to talk about the loot system a little bit. So a lot of players ask me like, oh, is this piece of loot worth it? So my advice on that is going to be, if you like it, go ahead and get it. And if you don't like it, just ignore it. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but a lot of people ask me this question. But you should never feel pressured to buy something just because other people have it. If you truly like it, go ahead and use it. For example, for me, I used a basic little legend that came out when TFT came out like 3 or 4 years ago. I forget how long TFT came out. And that was my favorite one until they released the Bun Bun. So I didn't care about buying any little legend until the Bun Bun came out. Even though a lot of them look cool, even though a lot of people all wanted like the new chibis and stuff, that wasn't really anything that interested me. So I just waited till one that came out that I liked, and then I went ahead and bought it. So if you like the new map, if you like the Transformer theme or like the robot theme, definitely go out and try to buy it. But if you don't like it, it doesn't really help to like complain like, oh my god, like the percent is so low or something like that. You could just not buy it. It's not like you get an advantage if you have it, so there's really no sense to like talk about it if you don't really care too much about it. But that's gonna be my tip of the day for this video. But again, let me know what you all think about the patch, and I'll see you all on Friday for the meta snapshot.